Hello and welcome back to Moto Joshing. So first of all, I have to apologise. I nipped away for a cheeky week in Spain there, and you know, such is the world that you can't really post, or at least I'm not keen to post on social media that I'm about to go on holiday. I don't post my holiday photos while I'm on holiday, just purely because, you know, it's pretty easy to track those posts. People, you know, that not necessarily follow me, but on the peripheral of my friends or whatever, or other people that might be interested in some of my items, shall we say, you know, can use these posts to, you know, track and look at where you might have posted when you were checked into your house, or a photo from outside, or anything like that. Essentially, it's just very easy to tell, you know, when someone goes on holiday these days. You hope that those pictures only go to your friends and stuff, but, you know, if you're posting on Instagram, then that's public anyway, for the most part. So I certainly don't like to post that information while I go, and it's purely for security. It's to make sure that someone can't just have an easy go at my bike while I'm away, where, you know, you're not necessarily keeping as much of an eye on it, or you might not necessarily have neighbours that keep an eye, or whatever it might be. It's just one of these things, and it's something to consider. You guys, certainly motovloggers, but other bike owners, if you're, you know, regularly posting photos of your bike on your Instagram and things, and then decide to go on holiday, you know, something to think about. It's probably not beneficial to necessarily post, you know, all the information that a tea leaf would require to come steal your shit. So today's vlog is actually all going to be about security, and all too easy these days. We certainly see a number of our you know, posts on bike forums and local pages and things. Certainly here in Aberdeen we have a page called Fubar, you know, the usual fucked up beyond all recognition, but they're actually a very good resource locally for finding out information, you know, when it comes to traffic jams or whatever and all that kind of bollocks. But, you know, certainly they do cover stolen motorcycles and cars, and these things tend to come up quite a lot. So with that being said, not many people, especially in the motovlogging community at least, that I've seen, really get down to the brass tacks of security on their bikes. You know, we all are probably aware what to do and what not to do when it comes to, you know, the kind of security measures you should have, but no one really goes for it, so I thought I'd cover this topic. So first and foremost, I think the recommendation by the police, or at least is the number that gets, you know, talked about more, is 10%. So 10% of what it's worth is what you should be smashing into security for that particular automobile. So, you know, if you look at 10% of this bike of 6 grand 3, so 630 pounds, yeah, I wouldn't say we're too far away from that amount that I've actually spent on security. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my tactics. I'm obviously not going to show my particular setup, for obvious reasons. It would be a guide on how to rob my shit. But first and foremost, I think the statistic is something like 60 to 70% of the time when your bike gets nicked, it's from your home. It's actually fairly rare that it gets stolen from out and about, but we all know it does happen. So with that being said, I certainly carry a disc lock all the time, and I generally will use that. I'm not really in the scenario that carrying a chain would necessarily work, but I suppose I could. I think when it comes to security, all of it's going to be a compromise really on what you actually are willing to put up with, as in ball ache for you in general. You know, what levels of annoyance you're willing to put up with when it comes to, you know, getting your vehicle out and about, really. You know, some people carry chains around their waist, you know, these types of things, and certainly not for me. Don't really know this road particularly well. Still learning it. Yeah, some people carry, you know, chains around their waist and things. And I've certainly seen a lot of people use the slightly smaller chains for that purpose, just to try and chain it up to something. But again, if you're only chaining it to your back wheel, then it's kind of pointless. Or it's another hindrance, I guess, but it's not exactly difficult to maneuver around that type of security. Anyone that's taken a back wheel off knows it's a, you know, a minute process. And most bike manufacturers don't make motorcycles in mind with how you're going to chain it up, so a lot of times you won't necessarily have room in the frame, or you might not have a particularly obvious place to keep the chain through the frame. So a lot of people tend to just, you know, chain the back wheel, and all those things are a little bit tricky. So personally, I use the Allmax Immobilizer 4, which is the kind of heaviest chain. Use that with the Squire Moto lock, which is the motorbike specific Squire lock that they recommend to use with it. Kind of just put a bit of faith and trust that these guys know what they're doing. And certainly there's a lot of videos on their site of them taking apart other locks, so they've obviously built it to something they struggle to get into. And it's a cracking chain, very heavy, certainly one for the home. I have that with the, I also have the Defiant anchor, have that in the ground in my garage. And you know, it's probably as good as you're going to get from one of those type solutions, if I'm perfectly honest. And it's certainly a cracking chain. When motorbike manufacturers make motorbikes, however, they don't really do too much to help you with the security side. You know, they say they do, and they'll throw an immobilizer in there sometimes, and you know, that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, you know, there's no real obvious places where you can loop a chain on your frame of your motorbike, which is sometimes quite annoying. But it, you know, it is what it is with these things. So it's, you know, something to think about. Certainly on my bike, the kind of frame piping that's on it, you know, you can hook a chain over it, but you can't really secure it as much. The chain's not really long enough to go through the anchor and the frame and the wheel, so I use a combination. I use a Oxford Magnum D-Lock, which is gold approved as well, and I hook that through the back wheel and then hook that through the chain on the frame and kind of bring it all together. Again, with security though, it's not just about that, it's about layers. So I also use an Oxford disc lock. I use that out and about, wherever I am in general. You know, certainly I use other things so that the motorcycle itself is data tagged. So I guess that's just for recovery more than anything. It's you know, you're kind of hoping that people see that it's data tagged and then don't bother to nick it. I doubt that's actually going to ever happen, but it's something else anyway, another layer. I personally have IP cameras, so they're relatively cheap these days. You can have them, mine uploads to the internet, it has motion detection, it has night vision, you can see everything that's going on, gives me a good record. And certainly I would certainly recommend one of those as well. Just works off Wi-Fi and just plugged into the power. and you know, again, another layer, and that goes up to a cloud stream site which I can view on my mobile device. So while I was on holiday, I could check in and see that my bike was tucked away, and enjoying its happy little holiday from me as well. So that's something to bear in mind as well. I think, you know, obviously the next thing, I guess, for security would probably be an alarm system would probably be the next thing. Contemplated getting a disc lock that's got an alarm on it. Might be another step forward again. You know, if you're really that worried about it, you can also you know, put GPS in your device as well, if that's something you're particularly wanting to do. I'm just going to turn around here and head back the way. Still learning a lot of these roads near where I am, so just thought whilst the weather was semi-good that I would give it a whirl. But I guess I'm probably not concentrating as much as I should be for some of these twisties, because I'm talking to you fine people. At least to go fast, so we shall not be going fast, we shall just meander around. So yeah, you know, security is just about layers. I think you have to be willing to put a bit of money into it and try and make it as hard as possible. Certainly don't rely on the actual, just the steering lock. We've all seen it, you know, it's easy to break, they're easy to pick. Certainly, you know, if you've seen Spicy's video vlog before, where he picked his own motorbike, just using some, you know, basic pick tools. That's certainly something that's a bit of an eye-opener for you, if you're thinking some of this stuff is particularly difficult, and that just the steering lock is adequate. Then that'll certainly open your eyes on that one. The other thing to remember is when you're out and about is to also park it in places that, you know, make it a little bit more difficult. So you know, I try and avoid underground parking unless it's got CCTV. You know, certainly at my work, it's parked right out front of my window, so when I'm looking at my computer, I look right and there's my baby sat there. It's also viewed by keeper people, so they keep an eye on it too. And certainly, you know, if I go to Asda or anything like that, I park it right by the front door, you know, past kind of bollards, so you can't get trucks in there and things, and then throw the disc lock on it. It's all about layers, but by all means, you know, if you're handy with electronics as well, I know a few people that have you know, wired in extra kill switches, you know, so there's another switch hidden on the bike somewhere, just to make the electronic system a little bit more safer. Again, whatever you can do to make your bike unoriginal and not the same as everyone else's is the thing that's probably going to save it. But certainly throw some money into a good chain and you know, use it. You know, I certainly know from my insurance, my premium, my excess, sorry, is double if my motorcycle is stolen from my house while it's not locked in my garage. So certainly keep an eye on it. I wouldn't leave it for a second outside. You know, always kind of roll it in. And the other thing to bear in mind is that on my insurance, I only actually declare my disc lock. I don't declare that I've got the disc lock and the data tagger. I didn't declare that I've got the Allmax chain and the anchor and things, purely because if I didn't have them on, then they're not expecting them to be on. So my insurance can't, you know, turn around and say, well, why weren't these things on? Just if it was in the garage, if I was cleaning it. So those are the things I declare, and then I have my additional tools to keep my bike and to keep it safe and tucked away. But certainly, if you've got any tips, or you know, you're aware of something I'm probably missing, or you can think of something else I can add easily to my setup to give me additional security, then that would be great. Let me know in the comments, and Let me know your views on security and if I'm missing out on anything. Another thing, certainly I've seen, I can neither confirm nor deny that I use them, but you can get trappers blank shotgun shells on a little system that basically allows you to make tripwires in your garage. So if you set off the tripwire, it'll actually pop a blank shotgun shell. And that's probably enough to deafen people, never mind scare the fuck up. Yeah, it's fairly cheap to buy, and can be quite effective. But that's the kind of stuff I use and the kind of layers I like to throw into it. I'd like to know your opinions, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ta-ta, bye-bye.